Hey, it's April with Possible Diet, and today I'm going to show you how to make a ginger peach cobbler with hidden squash. This recipe is really similar to my zucchini apple cobbler, so if you've seen that, this is, very close. You're going to need a delicata squash for this recipe. That looks like this. And then 3 peaches. You might be able to get away with 2 big peaches, but I have 3, so I'm going to use these. I'm going to chop these up, and then I'll meet you back here when we're ready to saute it. All right, we're ready to make our ginger peach crisp with hidden veggies. It's funny, August is National Peach Month. I didn't know that before I came up with this recipe, so it's appropriate because there's nothing but fresh in-season peaches at the farmer's market right now. And this recipe got me thinking to the last time that I had peach crisp, and I am embarrassed to say that it was several years ago. I had house guests, and one of them said that he would make dessert, and it was literally a box of yellow cake mix with a can of peaches. It might have been peach pie filling, full of sugar. I mean, it was delicious, but it was, I didn't even know what delicious was back then. But it was full of processed chemicals and no nutritional value whatsoever. All the nutrition right on out of those peaches. So this dish is my answer to a better way. Delicata squash, full of beta-carotene, fiber. It takes a little bit longer to cook than zucchini, obviously, so you want to cook this for a little bit, just until it's like a little bit soft. And then we're going to add the peaches and the sugar. So a cup and a half of chopped delicata squash. You want to chop it pretty small so that it cooks fast. Just saute that in a tablespoon of salted butter or a tablespoon of regular butter with a couple of grains of salt. So just cook this until it's a little brown and a little soft, and then you want to add the peaches and all the other ingredients. So I'll meet you back here when this squash is softened up. All right, our squash is a little soft. Just want to show you what you want to be looking for. You want the squash to be like kind of translucent just a little bit before you add the peaches. So go ahead and add the peaches. I use a lot. The ratio of zucchini to apples is different than the ratio of squash to peaches in this dish. It's not, you can't get away with as much with baked apples as you can with baked peaches. And I peel the peaches. You can peel them or not peel them, whatever you like. So add in your peaches. Give it a stir. And then you're going to add a 1/4 cup of lemon juice, 1/3 cup of a sugar substitute. I am using Smart Sugar by Miss Jones. I like this because it's just cane sugar, chicory root fiber, tapioca syrup, tapioca starch, and monkfruit extract. It's like a little less chemically than erythritol. I use erythritol all the time, but for this, I had Smart Sugar, so that's what I'm using. And then you want to add a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And I use, for the peaches, for the topping, I use ground ginger, and for the actual peaches themselves, I use real fresh ginger. One teaspoon of that. You can use jarred. I just happen to have my Gourmet Garden. A teaspoon of vanilla extract. And this is optional, but I like it. A teaspoon of sugar-free maple syrup. You could probably also use like maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon of maple extract if you have that. I just like the maple, kind of like maple and the ginger is like they're nice together, so that's how I roll. Be prepared for your kitchen to smell amazing. And then I add 1/8 of a teaspoon of mace. You can use nutmeg instead. I'm just not a super fan of nutmeg since my nutmeg accident muffins that I had to eat all of them. And mace is kind of like nutmeg, but not exactly like it, so it doesn't seem to annoy my taste buds as much. Woo, that smells good. So just cook this down until it's kind of like thick and jammy, and you know it bubbles, and when you scrape your spoon across, it like makes a sizzling sound. Maybe about like 10 minutes. While our filling is bubbling up a storm and cooking down, I'm gonna make the topping. It's pretty much it's almost the same topping as the one that I used for the apple zucchini crisp. It's 3/4 cup of almond flour, 1/4 cup. I swapped the golden monk fruit this time for Miss Jones coconut smart sugar. This is sort of like the brown version of smart sugar. I like it. It's just kind of like a little bit of a cleaner flavor. It lets the peaches shine a little bit more. 3/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of ground powdered ginger, not fresh ginger, a tablespoon of golden flaxseed meal, and then I use 1/3 cup of chopped pecans. You can use a little more if you want. Just make sure that if you leave out the pecans, they're totally optional, that you use only 1/2 tablespoon of golden flaxseed so that the ratio is good for the crisp. So get these together, whisk it all. And here I have 4 tablespoons of butter that I've melted and cooled to room temperature. Add in your nuts. And then set this aside until we're ready to put it on top of our peaches. All right, most of the liquid has evaporated from our filling mixture. You can see it looks like that. When you move your spoon across, it should kind of like sizzle a little bit, and it should just be really sort of jammy instead of runny. So once this is done, go ahead and pour it into your pan. It should rise up, you know, maybe like 1 inch. You want it to be pretty shallow. And I've preheated my toaster oven to 350 degrees. We're just gonna bake it for about 10 to 15 minutes until it smells delicious and the topping is all good. And you just wanna the topping is gonna be like goopy cookie dough. You just wanna kind of evenly distribute it over the top of your peach mixture. You can add more nuts, less nuts, however you like. Just make sure it kind of still looks like goopy cookie dough when you bake it. You can also do this, you know, in a pie pan if you got one. All right, pop it in this oven, 10 to 15 minutes. And I'll see you when it's done. Okay, so now that our peach crisp is done, you want to bake it until the top is golden brown and it's dry. And this is the hardest part. Now you have to let it sit for 10 minutes to firm up. And then once it's firm, go ahead and serve it with some nice low-carb vanilla ice cream, or you can serve it with the Whole Foods 365 vanilla ice cream. That's my favorite because it has the lowest sugars and carbs. Most ice cream has like 20 grams of carbs a serving. Actually, most ice cream has like 35 grams of carbs a serving, but that Whole Foods 365 organic vanilla clocks in at about 20. So you can also enjoy it with some vanilla Greek yogurt. Have fun. Thanks.